Yo, what's up? This is Splendid Radio on Pharcyde TV with my co-host Jeremy Scipio
Going on.
and Andrae Alexander. Man, a true pleasure. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And you know what? It's interesting because the very first time I met you, we kicked it. It was at NAM, and we kicked it for like for a while. You know what I'm saying? We moved around and whatnot. And the conversation that we just had before we went live was very similar to our first interaction, where I'm like, man, this dude's interesting. You know what I'm saying? He's like the homeboy you don't kick it with, but then when you talk to me, like, dang, that he's fun. You know what I'm saying?
He's random. Fun. I don't know if it's fun. It's more like random.
Yeah.
I guess it can be fun, but you know.
But I'll take the blessings, man. I'll take for all the people you meet in this world. It's like, ooh, I'll take that that cool one that's tossed out there every once and again. So for everybody, this is our host, our guest for the night. Little nervous because I'm a fan, man. That's the funny part. I am a fan.
I appreciate it.
I'm gonna tell you what you said to me the first time that we met that let me know you're a different kind of cat. So we're moving around NAM. We're checking out all the different stuff. And I hadn't heard you play, and I didn't know like what your skill level was with music or whatever, but the conversation, I was like, and I was managing an R&B cat at the time. And I remember thinking, I was like, man, if he's a musician and if he's at NAM and I think kind of just there was something about how you were moving that made me think, dude, this is a serious musician, but I had never heard any music. Like it wasn't even that. So I'm over here talking to you and I'm like, so how much do you charge? Blah, blah, blah. And you like, you said, well, you know what? The money's okay, but I really like points and we can co-produce. You were talking that right talk. And I was like, this guy's different. He's not just, happy to get a couple dollars and just keep it moving. He's thinking long run.
That's it, equity.
So no, that was a very before it came to your talents and before I became a fan, just the interaction with you and just meeting you for the first time, it was really it was refreshing.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, no, it was fun. We actually had a really good time. I just remember getting backstage. I was about to perform, and I was like, backstage. I don't know what it is about getting backstage, but that's like everybody just, everybody's happy at that point. Backstage, snacks. That's it. So it was great.
Man, your backstages have been so much doper than ours, man. You know what I'm saying?
All the backstages are fun. That's it.
So when did you hear hip hop for the first time?
All right, this is gonna sound really fun. I was a kid, and I was hanging out with my big cousins, your older cousins, and I'm country. So like my cousin was country, but like they would be in a car, in one of those old school cars and they was playing Tupac, just cussing. And I'm like, we can say these words? Like I was a kid and they were just listening to cussing and driving. But like, I enjoyed it because literally it was like the first time I was able to sit with my older cousin, who was like my older brother, and just listen to him, talk about life, his philosophies about life and why Pac was it, and this is it in life. You gotta just do this and think. Just like, as a kid, it was like the first time I was having an adult conversation,
Yeah.
And it was because of hip hop. It was like, he's drinking or whatever. And next, we talking about life and women and what this is and how to go after your dreams and what you should do. And it was the craziest thing. I always associate that specific cousin. His name is HJ. And he said to me when I was a kid, he was like, everybody, in the family is this and we're doing that. And a lot of us is in jail. A lot of us is doing this, but you are special. So whatever happens, you focus on your dream, your music, your this and that, because you got talent. You know what I mean? So it was like that was that time, and that was the cousin, and that was the vibe. So hip hop led to that conversation, which changed the trajectory of my life. Because listening to somebody I looked up to, somebody I love, somebody I was really into. So it was a good time.
How'd you gravitate over from R&B to hip hop, or from hip hop to R&B?
It's so funny. My mom My mom. Like, you grow up and everybody wants to be hardcore, but like I would come home after school and I remember this one time, it was like she worked at night. So I would come straight home after school, say hi, get a hug, and she would go straight to work, single mom, the whole nine. And she had this record and it was like thunderstorming outside. If you've been to the East Coast, thunderstorms are real. You know what I mean? And I popped in this Stevie Wonder record, and it had it was the Jungle Fever soundtrack. She got jungle fever, she got jungle fever. And then it was playing. I was like, oh, this is cool. All of a sudden, it got to this song, Stevie Wonder, because he did the soundtrack for it. And it was like, what was it? These three words. When was the last time that they heard you say, mother, and I love you? And it was like, oh my gosh. But it was like, as a musician, I knew these chords over these melodies made me feel some type of way. So at that moment, I fell in love with Stevie Wonder. Then from there, I fell in love with, my mother was always playing, what's her name? Phyllis Hyman. You know what I mean? Like she would play all of those like old school R&B acts that just made you feel emotions. So that's why I really fell in love with it. Even though hip hop is absolutely an emotion, it's an energy, it's a whole thing. But then like really just feeling your emotions. I feel like R&B just capsulized that for me. So that's what did it for me. My mom actually, and her love for music every day, every Saturday morning. You know what I mean? Sunday mornings we listening to whoever it is. It was just cool. The Quiet Storm on the East Coast. You know what I mean? We would listen to that. It was cool.
Man. Yeah. That's crazy because it's like you're younger than me, but you're old enough that the memory you were just sharing, I think about people now and I'm just like, man, what music are these kids now gonna grow old with their parents? Like,
yeah.
that was the Sunday morning cleanup, or the Saturday whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was the Peabo Bryson. My mother loved Peabo Bryson, Aretha Franklin, Johnny Hathaway. Like when was the last time you ever heard that name? Like that is an old name.
I'm naming my kid named his dog. He named his dog Peabo Bryson. So
that's dope. I'm doing it. That's what I'm saying. Like it's just I don't know. It's like it's to me it goes back to like our African roots and how things weren't really passed down on paper. It was an oral tradition. So your great grandfather would tell you, grandfather would tell you, mother would tell you, and this is like we passed our oral tradition musically, through Saturday morning, Saturday morning cleanups, and you're in the car with your uncle. Don't touch my radio. You listening to this? Like we were subconsciously passing our tradition, our feelings, our emotions through music. That's just how I feel like. So hopefully they get it. We were getting it in cartoons. We were getting it in everything. So I think it's there. Even through sampling, which is different, but they're still getting it. So I think it's still there. Slightly different though.
Who's the first other than not Stevie Wonder, but like who was the person other than your cousin that touched you musically that made you say, man, I'm influenced by this cat?
Oh, y'all gonna think this is so ridiculous, but I don't even care. Like one of the reasons I'm a musician to this day is Mr. Rogers. And I will tell the world, Mr. Rogers, let me tell you, don't laugh at me. Yo, Jeremy's laughing. Judging.
Will you be my neighbor, Mr. Rogers?
Yo, will you be my neighbor, Mr. Rogers? Listen to this. Literally, I was about 5 years old, and I had an audiographic memory, but I didn't know what it was at the time. So I would hear it happen the one episode. And the next day, I'm listening again, and I realized the music is the same, but it's slightly different. I didn't know, because I was too young to articulate it, that he had a live studio band for every episode. So even though it's that same song, it was a live band. So every single time it's slightly different. The solos are different. This is different. And he wrote every song. So like listening to it, he was a literal composer. Mr. Rogers wrote every song. The band was murdering. And I was just like, yo, I fell in love with chords and melodies as a child, listening to Mr. Rogers. And of course, like Looney Tunes, they did all of that stuff. But like literally Mr. Rogers, 1, 2, Quincy Jones. Yeah. Now Quincy Jones, remember what was it? BET, it was at that that song, the Hallelujah chorus with Jasmine Guy. She's all and she's dancing. Hallelujah. He did this melody.
Oh, of course.
You remember that? So literally, that melody was stuck in my head in like elementary school.
And he shall reign
Yes.
forever and ever. Yeah.
So Jasmine Guy from Different Worlds dancing, Quincy Jones, that melody just would not leave my head. So I had this little teeny keyboard and I sat there for hours like dun, 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 until I could play it over and over and over. Like the melody was so stuck in my head. And that was when I really fell in love with melodies, not just emotions, but like the creation of melodies. So yeah. So Mr. Rogers.
So before we go to the next question, you said a word. It was ideological.
Oh, nah, I can't remember the word.
But
Audiogram.
He like a bully in school. You like, yo, what you using all those smart words for?
No, no, because this is kind of off subject or whatever, but I like to cook, but I don't really go hard on recipes. I can taste it, and as long as I know the indigenous, like if it's Mexican food, some cilantro or some cumin, or you know what I'm saying. If I know the spice that's in it, I can like no matter what kind of food, I can kind of freak it. Yeah. But the word you said, audio something, made me. What I think the definition of it is, you can listen to music and you can get like a complete understanding by it just kind of like passing by you, where somebody else would probably have to listen to it over and over again or just whatever. Because you were talking about Mr. Rogers, and you were noticing the differences between the episodes. Like you were on it so hard, your ear could tell that something different was going on in every.
Yeah. So basically, it's like it works for conversations too. So if you're dating me, like my ex-girlfriend will tell you, I will remember what you said. So like I just will play back like a tape. So if I hear it and I really am into it, I can recall it back. I can just listen to it in my mind like, oh, that's like this. So when I heard it again and played it against the tape I heard last week, I was like, something's different from the tapes. So I kept playing them over and over and over again. So that was like the thing that helped me to exercise it. So it's like you memorize what you hear. You know what I mean? So it's like
word. The ideological, the scientific study of hearing, often included the treatment of a person with hearing defects.
So it's a defect. It's a defect that I can just hear. I remember them. Yeah. Audiological, audiographic.
Ideological. What in medicine is the scientific study of hearing, often including the treatment of a person with hearing defects. Ideological. But you know what though? Maybe you're a doctor. You were like a doctor.
As a kid, you see that? I was a doctor as a kid. You see that? Exactly. Me, doctor kid. No, that's it though.
So what was your experience developing as a musician in church?
Yo, it's so funny you said that. I hated going to church. I mean, hated it. My whole family just church, right? My great-great-grandmother had hymnals that with 5 cent, with the little 5 cent. My great-grandmother they both all started a family singing group. So it was this group called, we were called the Israelites. And they were quartet. This quartet style of playing, right? So my whole family sings or writes or does something creative. Everybody. If there's a piano around, the whole family can start singing, and it'll be like we'll be trying to harmonize and judging each other. My dad's a musician, my mom sings, the whole nine. So I was in church, and I had gotten in trouble because I don't know about y'all, but it was this country church. So all the kids would sneak out of the church one at a time to go to the bathroom. But we would always sneak into the playground. So we snuck to the playground. I'm talking about. It had one of those old school merry-go-rounds. You ever, and this, I don't know why, but every week a kid got stuck underneath the merry-go-rounds. You just hear, so now a kid's getting, messed up out of whatever church. So now we're all in trouble. The pastors got us all in the front row, and I'm pissed. Like, I don't even want to be there. They got me in this tight usher uniform with the white glove. I'm sweating, I'm fat. And all of a sudden, I hear something that's just like, And it's this sound I've never heard before. And I had to be around 7 years old, and it was a B3 organ, this Hammond B3 organ. And I was like, what is that sound? Like, because usually you hear it in pianos, but he was murdering so hard that it was insane. A Hammond B3 organ, and that is when I was like, I gotta go every week just to learn how to play that. Like, I went every week to learn how to play that instrument. Yeah, so that's what made me like really go to that. I didn't want to go. Like, I wasn't even really into gospel like that, but when I heard that sound being played that way, it was like that. It was life-changing sonic, because I never felt or heard that before. I was like, yo, I gotta learn. So that's what like started going to church heavy, just so I can learn how to play the B3 organ.
I'm gonna tell you something interesting.
What's that?
The Pharcyde's last, hold on. The Pharcyde's last keyboard player, he played the Rhodes, but like the organ is really what he did. And it was interesting because he was like, because I always talk to the musicians, like that's my thing. Like I'm going, like kind of my bonus of doing shows and whatnot. I can really talk to experts at what they do and just, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So he broke it down to me kind of like, you can be good at playing the organ, but not many people that are good at playing the organ can play the piano. Like the organ is a whole nother spaceship.
Everything. No, literally, and this is what people assume. If it has keys, you can play it, but every single piano is different. So you can be playing a piano, you can be a piano player, but like the energy of this piano is gonna be completely different from the energy of this one. Like, so it's a different feel, it's a different touch, everything is different for it. So like I grew up, I was a classical pianist too. So like that's a whole different thing. And I tried to approach the organ like that. The organ is like a vocalist. Like it's like it can scream, it can shout, it can just be smooth, and it could be a trumpet, it can be a violin, you know what I mean? A piano is actually a percussion instrument. If you open up the lid, it's hammers hitting a string. Literally hammers hitting strings. Organ's different. I mean, I'm telling you, it's like a whole string section. It can be all of that. Trumpets, it's insane. So it's like it's a different energy to it than a piano. It's like
one of our guests asked, did you ever sing "It Was the Blood"?
Of course I did. I grew up in church. I've sang all of that, like any hymn, and all of the types of churches, from the extremely ritualistic ones where you just reading the sheet music, to the Kojic joints where they're shouting and doing backflips and ripping up pews.
Hey, Kojic, spell it out for us.
DOGIC. Church of God in Christ, all of that, yeah. So literally,
it's a lost art.
It is. It's a whole nother situation. It's different.
Oh man. So who did you think was like the dopest artist when you were in junior high school?
You're gonna laugh. Okay. When you ask that question, I go back to Criss Cross. When you would wear that, hey, your pants backwards, hey, your shoes, this is flipped, this and that, and I was. Don't laugh at me, but I was the husky kid, so I was not really able to wear the things that other people was wearing because I had the husky, and that's like the worst. Why would you call kids husky? Screw whoever said husky or whatever. Like, so Criss Cross, but it's like jump, I'm ready to you make it jump. Like it's like the energy of being a kid in like the 90s, early like the 80s to 90s. It was a certain energy. It wasn't like depression was like, that was like, going outside, playing with your friends in the summertime, and then all of a sudden you hear jump, and y'all are running through the mall with pen and paper because y'all didn't have beepers, or you just had a pen and a paper, and you like, you had to walk up to somebody and say, hey, can I get your number? Like it was a different way of being. And if it turned you down, it wasn't like, oh, I hate myself. It was like, screw you. Hey, can I get your number? Like it was like the energy, like the whole vibe was energy. It's like hip hop, Bone Thugs and Harmony. You know what I mean? That was it. Hey. So between Criss Cross, Bone Thugs and Harmony, like that was it for me. Like junior high school, that was my life.
Who's your favorite jazz pianist?
That's hard because it changes every day. But I'm gonna give you my original favorite that I've been sticking to my whole life. Well, I'm gonna tell you four. I'm gonna tell you four.
Okay.
Ahmad Jamal.
Okay.
And he's one of the most underrated, but he has this song called Poinsettia, and literally about 2.5 minutes into the record, if you listen to the original, it is the hardest groove ever created on earth. It is the craziest thing, and it was like 15, 20, 30 years before its time. They need to be sampling every day, but nobody samples it. Ahmad Jamal, of course, I gotta say Herbie Hancock, because
Herbie Hancock, come on,
you know
man.
what I mean? Ahmad Jamal, Herbie Hancock. Of course, I love Robert Glasper, and of course, one of my really good friends right now, Corey Henry. He's a beast. Like, he's one of my favorite current musicians. But and Joe Sample.
You still ain't named mine. I gave you a chance. I thought you was gonna name mine. First of all, shout out to Ahmad Jamal. He is 90. What the hell?
Yo, see what I mean?
He's 90 years old.
And the thing about him is he's so sick with it. He has one of the longest careers of any recorded musician in history that's still living. Him, Stevie Wonder, like literally, as far as the length of time from when he started to now, and nobody's still and he's still putting out albums, still gigging, still alive, still teaching, professor, all of that. Like, yo, Ahmad Jamal was I just fell in love with him as a kid, number one.
He has the cure, but yo, he got the cure. You made it to 90. He's born 1930. It's 2021. He was born 1930.
Like, he made it from the 30s to the 30s. That's a gift. That's a gift.
My favorite pianist is Oscar Peterson.
Oh,
hands down. Hands down.
He's murdered.
I hate when I don't hear his name in the conversation, because just what his fingers can do with keys is insane.
Do you ever see this movie called, what was it? I think it was like 1912, the legend of like 1912 or Legend of 1910. Yo, listen to this. If you want to see, basically, I'm not going to ruin the movie for y'all, but it's about this kid he was born on a ship, and he never left the ship, right? And so all of these famous musicians heard about him because he learned how to play the piano when people would go to sleep. And he got so good that Oscar Peterson, everybody was trying to battle this dude. I forgot the name of the exact name of the movie, but like, yo, and it is a piano player's dream. The Legend of like 19 or 1890, whatever it is, the Legend of something. It is spectacular.
I'm looking it up right now. But I tell you, with Oscar, I remember when he had his own show. I didn't remember because I wasn't alive, but you know what I mean. But him and Art Tatum, he had Art Tatum on there, and yo, Art Tatum was like the legend of that time. Oscar Peterson bringing him on, and yo, he played circles around Oscar Peterson, like it was embarrassing. It's like, I mean, around Art Tatum, like, but it just Oscar Peterson, like when he did that, that's like equivalent to like Jay-Z and Kendrick Lamar in the same space, and then like Jay-Z spits something, and then Kendrick go, like, it was embarrassing.
It was embarrassing. The reason why like piano playing and the way we love them is so subjective, because, for example, rest in peace to I can't remember his name just now. Chick Corea. Chick Corea just recently passed, one of those piano players of all time. And to me, he was like if Chick Corea was the mind, Herbie Hancock is the heart. But they had mastered their own ways of being, right? So they have to say, like, I love Oscar Peterson is killing. If you want somebody that's technically proficient, that's gonna and stride your life away, yo, you can't get a better person than that, right? But you know, there's other ways of being. I just love them all, yo. I really just love them all.
Respect to all of them. Yeah, no. I don't mean to turn piano playing into hip hop, but
no, I get it.
It's not competitive. It's just that's when the moment I fell in love with Oscar Peterson.
Even with musicians, like nobody says Jimmy Smith. Jimmy Smith is one of the dopest organists of all time, because he's not a piano player. He's not even in the conversation. He was so sick when the wars and craziness are happening. He was one of the only musicians still killing, like murdering. And his story is insane. We have the same birthday, by the way, December 8th. And he's one of the dopest musicians of all time that nobody talks about. But he's insane. Jimmy Smith.
Wow.
We got to bring him up too if we're going to talk about it.
Well, you know, Jeremy plays the piano, although he'll never say he plays it, but then everybody who's around him say he can play it really good. And I already know what you do, so you have a way and a point of view. But I'm gonna throw my dog in the fight. He's not on the level of the cat you guys talked about. But you gotta give it up for Bernie Worrell. A little bit.
I don't know Bernie. I don't know Bernie. I will look. I'm with it.
Bernie what?
Bernie Worrell. He played for George Clinton for a long time, but he would go from funk into classical music and then hop back out of the funk and then hop back into the classical music.
There's so many cats like that. Like, honestly, I really believe that, like, we love artists, but I don't think the artists would be who they are without their musicians and their bands. Just like the Funk Brothers and Motown, you know what I mean? Like, we love Motown, but the Motown sound was the Funk Brothers. They have more hits than Michael Jackson, the Beatles, and Elvis combined, but you don't know their name. You know what I mean? The musicians who they created the sound, but we only know about, oh, we love Stevie, we love, Diana Ross, but nobody knows the Funk Brothers, their actual band, which is why they were murdering like that. Yeah, so like I'm telling you.
Funkadelics, yep.
The Funk Brothers.
So your passion, if you had to put a passion to it, writing music and composing it or playing it?
See, now watch. It's the same thing, and it doesn't seem like it, but if you write music, you're creating this moment, you're crystallizing an emotion in time. How do I feel in this moment? And now I'm going to put this down sonically for the world to know that I was pissed off, that I was happy, that I was having fun, that I was sad, whatever it is. You crystallize this moment in time. You on the stage, and all of a sudden the lights, cameras, action hit you, and you're with a band, and all of a sudden y'all are all in this one moment in time, and all of a sudden y'all hit the same hit at the same time. Like, you're still creating this moment in time, even though nobody took a picture of it. You still created this moment, this emotional moment that y'all all were together. So it's like, it's this, I just don't see the difference of separating it. You know what I mean? Because it's still creating, it's still taking emotion. One just stops and one just keeps going, but it's the same concept. I created an experience for people to enjoy. So I couldn't see life without either one of those at any given moment.
You love music.
Love, that's
process.
Issue is my first, like, it's my absolute first love. Like, how do you it's like everything about music, being woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning because you heard a melody and you got to wake up into the phone. Like, I love everything about it. Just staying up, not sleeping, the whole nine. Like, I love music.
Real quick, what's your favorite horn player?
Horn player. That's a hard one, but hard one. I have to go with Miles Davis because I'm a trumpet player too. So I play trumpet. Yeah, Miles Davis or Wynton Marsalis.
Wynton Marsalis.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw one in there. I don't know. This is a little different, but I like Sonny Rollins.
Yeah. Like, the reason I like Miles is because he mastered the art of playing space as a note. Like, he'll just go spam. Like, mastered the art of playing space instrument. You know what I mean? Like, nobody does that. Everybody wants to play as many notes as possible.
Miles Davis is the textbook, like in jazz class. That's that's it.
Yeah,
like that's how you go. That's how you study if you want it for real.
That's it. Those melodies were insane. And he was not the most technically proficient, but he murdered. Why are we talking about music? I'm not gonna sleep tonight. This is it. Like, I'm gonna be up all night thinking about music, and it's y'all's fault. Like,
somebody asked, can you play something? But I think that's an unfair question.
I would murder something if I had an instrument. I'm not at my house. I'm in the like the office of the studio, so I can do with y'all. So just you have to bring me back. I'll have instruments ready. I'll play something the next time I come back. Yes.
That's tight. When you were in high school, did you go to high school with any artists or musicians or anybody who kind of blew up a little bit?
One of my buddies is Daniel Moore. We graduated in 1999 together from the Duke Ellington School of the Performing Arts in Washington, D.C. He is Mariah Carey's current musical director. So whenever you see her on TV recently, he's the dude who put it together. Daniel Moore, one of my buddies. But I went to my school was nuts. Dave Chappelle went to my high school. He was the year before that. Michelle Indiegocello. What's her name? Roberta Flack went there. Tony Terry, when I'm with you, like Tony Terry, like it's a phenomenal school. So like a lot of people went there. I just don't remember all of their names, but it's a man in the city. It's like you gotta know, go to the school. Duke Ellington.
I went to art school, so I know a lot of people don't realize how much of a different world it is. Clifton Powell graduated from your school as well.
Yo, it's so funny. How was your school as far as like what kind of craziness did y'all go through as far as
crazy
day-to-day school activities?
Craziness day-to-day. I for me, some of the basics, like our school was it was actually the oldest school in Cincinnati. There was Woodward was there before, but then they moved and got a better school, and they were actually using that school to I just developed schools or whatever. But so since the school was so old, no elevators, 5 floors, each floor 2 full staircases. So just getting to class, you had 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes to get between classes, which is impossible. But my physical fitness is amazing. Them stairs, man. I mean, I think it was like 20 stairs each, each floor. So that's like 40 stairs to get to the next floor.
Yeah, but, I was eating a lot back then. I'm like, I'll be right there. Like, it'd have been crazy. We had a DJ. We had an in-house radio station. So if you were on the DJ team, the DJ was responsible from getting you from one class to the next class. And you had till the song was over. Like, it was insane. So I remember that song, At Night, I Think. So then we had the dance department just, and the marching band just, literally marching and just dancing and doing backflips and twirling the class every single day.
High school experience, man.
I'm about to say his school was way more exciting than mine.
It was nuts. It was honestly incredible. It was like I went from my junior high school was a math and science school, so it was very strict uniforms. Then I went to my first day at the art school. I'm on the bus, and this guy literally is wearing drawers and a white sheet, and I was like, so we get to the school. I'm like, are they gonna let him in the school like this? And I'm in the 10th grade, and they were like, yeah, he's Othello in the play. So to be in character, he was just wearing a sheet every day to school. That was his gig. It was a different experience. So to go from strict to utter freedom was what I needed, I guess.
How would you class? I'll go ahead, Jeremy.
No, I just wanted to say shout out to somebody threw in Coltrane. I just want to say shout out because
absolutely,
it's that one.
Absolutely.
How would you classify yourself artistically?
Whatever's needed in the moment. It sounds crazy to say that, but because I've studied, classical music, I've studied jazz music, I studied hip hop music, I studied all the forms of music. I feel like I won't say I'm the best musician on the planet, but I'm by far not the worst. Saying that to say, whatever's needed in the moment, I'm like that filler, like the glue. I can just be whatever. If it's classical, all right, dust it off. Let's go. If it's pop, if it's R&B, I bring an element of research and study to all of it. Like, I can tell you why we play these chords this way. I can tell you why this feels this way. From experience, from reading it to studying it, from listening to it. Like, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I just whatever I feel and whatever's needed in the moment. I have a gift of seeing what's missing, and filling that in. So that's what I bring artistically. Like, what's missing, what's needed in the moment.
And that's why part of your profession is one of the things that you do to make money. You're a teacher, man. You're a teacher.
I was like, what words? My profession is words. Oh yeah, I teach at USC. I've been there for about 2 years now. So going to my third year soon. But like I teach music business there, and I taught at the Los Angeles Film School. I taught music production. I taught film scoring there. So yeah, I do teach. And I'm an author. So I'm writing a book series, by the way. I didn't tell you about this. I'm writing a series of books called The Music Industry Encyclopedia. So it's like, I want to really help musicians really get it together. So like, and I feel like the dopest musicians on the planet are indie musicians, and they don't know what they're doing. They just know how to be talented. So the books are PR for musicians, how to manage yourself to get you to the point of needing a manager, because instead of wasting somebody's time, how to market yourself, international marketing, like what do you do with finances for musicians, like all of the things to develop yourself so that you can actually work on either getting a deal if you want one, or at least not starving. You know what I mean? So yeah.
What led you from art school to the military? That's such a harsh transition.
I have the most random stories on the planet, but I'm gonna tell you. So I was, I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. So I got this scholarship to go to Fairbanks University in Alaska. So I went to Fairbanks for like a month for this summer program. And if you can't tell, I'm a social person. I'm pretty much an extrovert from my toes all the way up. So I'm in Alaska just wilding out. I'm talking about, I'm on rivers, just canoeing. It was just crazy, 17. And then they liked me so much. They were writing about me in magazines, and I'm getting all this crazy. It's like, I don't know what's happening. Get a full scholarship to Fairbanks University. I come home, I'm like, Mom, I got a full scholarship to this university. She was like, that's far. She didn't say, don't go. She didn't say, what? She just said, that's far. But of course, my high school mom was like, screw it. I'm going to the Marine Corps, which doesn't make any sense. But so I ended up going to the Marine Corps, and I got into the band as a musician, and I got in as a trumpet player and a piano player. So I was like, which one has the least amount of musicians? They said piano. I just went in as a piano player because there was only 3 people in the whole Marine Corps when I went in. And then 4 years later, I ended up assigned to the White House as a presidential pianist in the United States Navy Band of Washington, D.C.
And that wasn't your plan at all?
I still don't know what I'm doing. It's like I have the gift at the right place, right time. I just like end up at the right place at the right time. I don't know what, I just be like, what is it? I just end up at the right place every time. I just go with it.
Which president was in office when you were?
1 year of Bill Clinton when I was in the Marine Corps, and then 7 years of George Bush. I got out of the military. I was like, screw this, I'm done. I'm gonna go be a regular musician. I got out. If I would have stayed in, I was slated to be Obama's personal pianist. Had I stayed in 1 more year, I would have been Obama's personal pianist.
Wow.
That would have been my job.
Like
that means like literally like if
you're like, play piano. You're like, oh, I gotta play.
For example, before he came in, I was it was one piano player above me who was getting ready to retire, who was the person who did the White House. I was the Secretary of the Navy's personal pianist. So like if the Prince of Arabia came in to have dinner, I was sitting there with the 2 of them. Wow. Like I had a top secret security clearance. They're eating dinner. I'm in the corner playing the piano like it's 1837. You know what I mean? It's like my gig was like, they flew me to Norway to play for the Crown Prince of Norway. Like, they would just fly me all over the world, like as an ambassador and representative for the country. It's like a whole nother world that people don't even know exists, but it exists, and it was lit for 8 years.
All right, this is a chance for you to brag. How many Billboard #1 chart-topping songs do you have? Three. I have two I did with one of my friends, and then actually my friend that I'm in the studio with right now, Kizzo, whose house I'm in, studio session. Literally, we did 3. So the last one was the Keith Sweat song, Boomerang with Kizzo. Boomerang. Yeah. It was crazy because I remember it was like the end of 2019 into 2020, and I was in DC listening to like XM, Sirius XM, and the last song I heard on the radio was that song. It was insane. I was like, yo, the 2020 is gonna be great.
Right. Like
I did have a great
sense. It was just that's tight, Keith Sweat.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
So tell us this. Who is Seven and how did you meet him?
Devin is my brother, like my literal brother. When I tell you I had moved to Los Angeles March 1st, 2009, And then, you know, the first thing you do as a musician is you try to find a church gig wherever you are, and then you try to, you know, go to every jam session so you can meet all the musicians to figure out what you got to do to get in the scene where you are. That's like rule number one. If you don't know what to do as a musician, go get a church gig. 2, go to jam sessions, meet everybody, just jam out, show me your dope, befriend everyone. First, my 4th day in LA, March 4th, I ended up at the Cellar in Long Beach. It used to be called the Cellar, it's not there no more, I don't think. So I'm in the Cellar in Long Beach, and it was all the musicians. You been there before? You said?
Yeah, come on, man. Yeah.
It was dope. So we're there jamming out, and all of a sudden I'm watching musicians, and I'm coming from Washington D.C., where people look, like the judgment is real. Like it is a music town. Like DC is a music town. So I'm watching musicians, and everybody's dope, but it's like they're not focusing on gelling, coming together as musicians. It was like, yo, everybody just showing off. And Seven standing beside me, and I was like, yo, this dude is whack. He was like, yo, he's whack. Friends, immediately we were friends. Like immediately we were friends. And like literally from that day, he's been like my actual brother since then. Like comes visit my mom on the East Coast, friends. Like his children are my godchildren friends, like friends.
And it's a trip because before I met, now I did know Seven was a musician when you introduced me to him, because I remembered some footage, because there was like a moment in time that Mos Def would bring him out, or Yasin Bey would bring him out, and he's ridiculous on the drums, dude.
Yo, he played for everybody from Nas to Miss Lauryn Hill to like he was signed to, you know, Murder Inc. and to, like his resume is insane. Yeah,
I knew when you the name, and then me looking at him, and then, you know, people look taller on TV or just whatever, but then the name and then him playing, I was like, oh, I know exactly who this is right here.
That's
like,
so crazy. I didn't even know. Like we were just like friends. I was like, bro, I didn't know his resume until years and years later. Like we never talked about resume. We were just like, bro, what are we eating? Like that's my actual friend. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Real quick, the comment section had a question. If you could work with any artist, who would you pick?
That's hard. Pac, my dog Pac. He's my favorite artist to work with. No, I don't know, because like I really enjoy a lot of music right now, which is, it went from me stressing out about music to now like, yo, I love Leon Bridges. I love her. I love Snow Allegra. I love, you know, all of that, you know, just that smooth stuff. I don't know. Like I just want to keep working. Whoever wants to work with me that I think is dope. Let's just work. Like I don't have a list of. That's hard to answer. I mean, I could say Stevie Wonder and, you know, the legacy artists, because I love them too. You know, really, especially now. Let's just, you know, get as much music from them as we possibly can. But yeah, I don't have a list right now of like. I mean, I do. I would love Frank Ocean, because I just feel like he needs to put more music out. I love, I said I don't have a list, and I have a freaking list. Anderson .Paak, yo, literally, I feel like we're related or something. Like, me and him in a room would be too nuts. Like Anderson .Paak, who else? Like, yo, I don't know. Just give me put all of the musicians in a room, and I'll just go one at a time. Let's just go. Like I'm with it.
That's fine.
And so how'd you end up working with Common?
So that was a funny story. Okay, I'm just gonna this is all truth. I was in my 20s. So let me preface this by saying I was in my 20s. In my 20s, and like I said, I went to every studio session. I even auditioned for Dr. Dre. I was auditioning for everybody. Whoever had an interview or audition, I was there. And I had smoked all of the weed that could possibly be smoked in Los Angeles with every producer, every writing team, every whatever. I was just in there, just hello. Like I had mass. And I ended up smoking with one of my buddies. His name is Phil. I forgot his stage name, so I won't say his full government name. I forgot his production name. But so then we're in the studio off of La Cienega, and come to find out somebody who had connections to No ID was there. And his No ID's piano player happened to be on tour with everybody, because he's such a beast. That guy is just everything. Like he's one of my favorite piano players in Los Angeles. So they were like, yo, we need a piano player. I ended up at the studio with No ID sitting there, and he's like, yo, play something. And I started playing, and he's really funny. He says I was playing Mr. Rogers. He's like, yo, I don't eat Mr. Rogers chords. But of course, I love Mr. Rogers. But the fact that he knew they were Mr. Rogers chords, whatever. So I'm sitting there. He was like, I guess you'll be here then. Like, because evidently I passed the audition, right? It was really dope. Immediately, 2 minutes later, Melanie Fiona walks in the room. Estelle walks in the room. Common walks in the room. And mind you, this is like the first real like big gig I had in Los Angeles. Like, real situation, and I'm nervous as hell, and it don't take, like, I'm just goofy, I just want to be loud, but like in those settings I'm like usually just chill, reserve, calm. So I'm sitting like this, but just knowing the inside I'm like, oh my god, 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 like wilding out, right? All of a sudden I just go in the corner just so I can just calm down, let all of them chill, do their thing. And then is this song called Victorious that didn't get on Estelle's album, but Common released it as a mixtape song, and that's the song that I played that night. My very first time meeting Common, Estelle, No ID, all of them. And there's a song called Victorious that at the very end of it, the song was over, and No ID goes, "Yo, Dre, go over there and like put a solo down." I was so on the edge of excitement that is one take. I literally played that solo immediately. Just he's like, my Matrix style hands went nuts. And then that was the take they took. So that I met Common because of No ID.
Dope.
It's so crazy telling you all of these stories.
Riveting.
It's crazy because like telling y'all all of these stories is like going back. It's like you're living your life, so you don't realize that you're living a life. You just going day by day. That's it. What's happening next? But to say them back is awesome.
What was your wildest odd job?
Wildest. Yo, well, I've done so many. I moved furniture. What is another joint? The wildest one. Oh, I was the piano player, even though looking back it was perfect. I was the piano player for an acting company that would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go read. Elementary school children would write stories. We would literally read the story. The actors would act the story out, and I would score the story live every morning. So in order to live in LA, I would wake up at 5 in the morning, go to elementary schools, score live. I would have 3 minutes to look at the story, write notes. I'm like, all right, let's go. And we would compose, and I was scoring live shows every morning. And then I would go to the studio session until 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I would get 2 hours of sleep and do it all over again. It was insane. So my oddest job, I think, would be live scoring children's stories.
You're a superhero, dog. You know, you're a superhero. I'm like, dang. Ah, man, that's dope. That's dope. What artist would you give props to right now that you felt never got their true accolade, and for whatever reason they just kind of got lost in the sauce? Somebody who you think is real dope, but for whatever reason they just never got any type of an accolade for people to really.
It's so funny. I have two, but they're for very specific reasons, and I'll put them in the order in which they happened. The very first artist I ever played for, I was 20 years old. About 20 years old. The very first artist I played for was Lettucey.
Wow.
This is before she was signed. She was doing her thing from Oakland, all of these things. And I don't even know if she knew I was 20, because I was or 21. I think it was 20 or 21. I was really young. And she was just, I had never seen somebody do that. The things that, when I say that, everybody who knows Lettucey knows what that means. Like, I don't care who you put on the stage with her. Whatever the most famous person on earth is, if you put Lettucey on the stage with them, they're going to have to just come with beyond what they thought the A game was. You know what I mean? Like, it's just what it is. Like, she's just spectacular, and her artistry is insane. And she was the first person we had played at the, what's that joint called? What's that? It wasn't the House of Blues. What's that? It was like in New York, that really famous joint, BB King's in New York. BB King's in New York. And so I was like, yo, how are you doing your solos like that? And she was like, you got to just she just was describing to me your process for creating solos. And I really appreciate her for that. Her and Raheem Devon, who was the first time I've ever seen an artist write like that. Like, he is one of the most prolific writers to ever watch write in a studio. So those are my two, when you ask for one. And I played for him for a while. We opened up for Jill Scott for the Real Thing tour. We did the Jay Leno, Jimmy Kimmel, Ellen, all those Tonight shows, Today shows. We did all the BET experience, all that stuff back in the day, right before I moved to Los Angeles in 2017, 18. No, 2007, 8. Yeah.
You mentioned Kizzo earlier. Who's Kizzo?
My brother, who's in the other room. He literally is a dope producer who's just multi-talented, multifaceted as far as the genres of music he creates for. Yeah, he's just super dope, like a brilliant musician / producer who the world's gonna know. Just like Timbaland, you're gonna know Kizzo.
Yeah, I hear you have y'all have a #1 song together.
Yeah, that was the Keep Up. Yeah.
What's the most memorable night you've ever had in the studio?
I mean, it's gotta be
no details, but just the night that you think back on and you like.
Honestly though, like I always go back to that night, that No ID night, because I was so fresh to LA that it was like the most brilliant welcome that I could have ever had. Did we talk about that, between that and Kanye, like meeting him? Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I think that I don't even know. Like it's a lot. Like K Michelle, like literally being in the studio, and like I can't even tell you the whole situation. Like just in the studio with her and with a live band, and everybody else in the world is like creating these little loops to send. But I was sitting there at an acoustic grand piano with a drummer sitting there, a bass player and a guitar player in this, and pen and paper, and we literally wrote. I was writing out the chords as they were singing the melodies to hand to the band. You know what I mean? Like, so like, it's like, it's like every piano lesson I've ever had, every music class I ever took in college and whatever, like all of it comes together, and you have the skills to do whatever you want to do at the highest levels, from the White House to the most hood session, to like, I couldn't say thank you to my mother enough for making me take piano lessons all of those years. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't even know. It's like they all come together to be like, my career is the experience, because every single day is something wild and something crazy and something spectacular. Then I get to stand up in front of these brilliant students, at one of the top schools on the literal planet for music. And I'm sitting here like, how the hell, like, when I got that gig, I was like, how did I get this gig? Everybody's got 12, Grammys and this and that. And I made myself read my resume, and I was like, I deserve to be here. Like, you know what I mean? So like, I don't know, like every day is just, I'm blessed every day to just wake up and just live the life that I get to live,
Well, dude, I appreciate you stepping out your session, man. I'm gonna cut it a little short tonight because I know you and Pac has been very patient. You know what I'm saying? you told us Pac was hopping in the camera, man, making sure.
He's nuts.
Making sure.
I really appreciate y'all for having me. It's been fun.
So where do you see social interaction going in the next 2 years?
As somebody who grew up in a very social era where you didn't want to do anything else but be with your friends, even when you played video games, like you just had your crew of people who went to the basketball court together, you went to the mall together, y'all had sleepovers at night, y'all had all of these things, to where we are now, having to swipe left and right and be okay with people on headphones talking to each other, versus being able to punch your friend, fight your friend, then go eat ice cream with your friend because this is your friend. You know what I mean? Like, so I just feel like I would wish I could give it something nice, but I feel like it's gonna get more and more, or less and less social, I should say. Meaning what I consider social. You're gonna know a lot about people on paper as far as how they post, but it's something different from when you can look in your friend's eye, look at the way they talk, and say, "Yo, something is not right with you because I know how you were yesterday when you were cool." You know what I mean? That's a different level of intimacy, and I feel like technology, unfortunately, which we love and it's great, is removing our ability to connect intimately as friends. You know what I mean? So I think we're going to be less and less social, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, no, I feel you, man. I'm watching right now the TV show American Gods, man, and they got a technology. They got a technology.
I haven't seen it yet, but I got to check it out.
Oh, they got a technology, man. That is definitely a God, and people worship it. They, instead of more than they pray, more than they think about food, more than they go to the bathroom, they picking up their phone, scrolling.
Yeah, but don't get me into the topics like social engineering and everything else, like AI technology and all of these things, which are great if we use them properly. But y'all have seen Social Dilemma. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. It's a documentary, The Social Dilemma. It describes it perfectly. I mean, I was like, Mom, we got to watch this. Let's watch this. We can see how it's, psychologically ruining the lives of children. They're still trying to develop self-confidence. And now the like button, they don't like me enough. Now they're willing to kill themselves. Suicide in children has been on a rise because of technology. I just, not anti, because I'm not, because I love technology. However, I'm anti a child not being able to just be a child. So
yeah, I think there's a certain age where your mind has to develop. It just needs core development skills that carry you a long way. And I think introducing a certain level of technology without restrictions can damage you, in the long run. Because it's just a core time where you don't want to depend on it. You know what I mean? Like you should be able to function without it. A lot of people don't know where. Like it's so funny. I always ask people like when we're like just out about like, hey, where are you? You know what I mean? And they're like, well, I don't know where I'm at. My godmother used to always say like, you're supposed to know where you at on this earth, boy. So like where are where you at? Like so, and I just noticed that that's you can't go like, where am I at? Be like, I think like you're supposed to just know how you got where you are, So I just think it's a certain age where you gotta, I don't have kids yet, but you just gotta make sure that they have a window of regular knowledge before you introduce this advanced technology.
I mean, let's talk about this. This is my last 15 seconds. I know I gotta go. Watch this. So think about this. This generation has never heard music without autotune, right? So that's sonically, they're used to hearing these robotic voices. Two, you have that with them staring at a screen with AI technology, because instead of them interacting with humans and understanding the nuances of how humans interact, how does our eyes move when this is happening? So now we're getting these more robotic, synthesized electronic ways of being. And now that we have holographic. Oh, did you hear about this? This just came out a week ago. There's a company that now has the ability to mimic any human voice that ever existed, even if they were dead, which means Michael Jackson can theoretically come up with a song in a week or two, because now we have the technology for it. Think about that. And your child will never know, because they're so used to hearing auto-tune and these electronic voices, they don't even know what Aretha Franklin sounds like, because they don't have that. Like I feel like we must, as a generation, instill the love of real music, organic voices, with choirs, people just singing in a group. When I say a choir, I'm not talking about a church choir. That could just be Boys to Men back in the day. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Whatever. But like we must let the children know what it feels like to feel authentic expressions of music. Like it's just, I don't know. That's it. Because I could talk about that for 12 hours.
So what's up, man? Drop your social media on them.
Yeah, it's just everything is Andrae Alexander, ANDRAE Alexander, ANDRAE Alexander. That's Instagram, social cam, Facebook, like all of that. Everything's the same. So just check it out.
Cool. And Jeremy, you got anything you want to shout out this week?
Nah, man. Look, y'all, just go to my IG page at Jeremy Comedy. Holler at me. Tell me what you think. Let me know what you think, and anything you want to, look forward from me. Just put it that way.
Yeah, well, I want to give a shout out to the nice old people down at Fresh and Meaty Burgers. You know what I'm saying? And if you happen to be downtown, 1601 South Soto, California Cannabis, you know what I'm saying? You can step in there, man, and they'll treat you real well. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody who tuned in.